Yes, yes, people, big up. Happy Tuesday, I believe it is. Feels like a Friday because, today's going to be so nice. I feel it. I feel it tonight. Felt it today. I hope you are too blessed to be stressed. But welcome into episode number 140 of the Untitled series, also known as the Immaculate series. I hope you are having a fantastic day, evening, morning. For those of you down under in the nether regions of the globe. I don't know why I said that, but hey, I hope you're doing well. Make sure you are voting in the poll. I just put it on. Let's see what everyone thinks. Obviously, just very simple question. Who's going to win the game on Friday? I think I'm going to get some answers. But look, I have a debutant of sorts on the channel. A guy whom, if you've seen him, you can't help but like the guy. I'm just going to put it that way. He's one of those guys you see, you speak to. He makes you feel smarter, makes you feel good. So really excited to have this gentleman on the channel. So when I bring him on, show him nothing but the things you show me, which is love and immaculate vibes. And that's what we're all around here. So real quick, before I bring him on, I also want to give a huge shout out to my man, Nate Pie, and the entire Pie family. We've got Mama Pie, Baby Pie, Nate Pie, all three pies on the car ride. Not sure where. I've never been to Australia, but they're going to see the animals. That's what he says here. So big up, Nate. You're on your way to a farm to see all the animals for the day, listening to you on the journey. You're not going to be just listening to me, so what a treat for you and the entire family. I've got the one and only Nobbins in the house. How are we doing, my man? Woot, woot, woot.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on, man. Yeah, excited. Never been on Spurs channel before. We're here.
Yeah, this is your first Spurs channel ever?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
wow.
never been asked on. That. There we go. So yeah,
well, hey,
it's a privilege.
Cheers. Very nice.
Yeah, exactly. Please
let me ask you, first and foremost, I see Pep Guardiola back there smoking. Y'all had the treble last year. I'm going to ask you first how you doing, but secondly, what are you thinking is more important? The Premier League title or back-to-back UCL or all the above? But first, tell me how you're doing, Nobbins.
No, yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, good vibes, as you say. Yeah, so it's always a pleasure chatting to you. You're very funny. So I was very happy when you asked me on. And yeah, just it's fun to talk about football, and that's exactly what we're going to do. In terms of Champions League, Premier League, I've always personally been I would rather win the Premier League over the Champions League. That's me personally. Lots of people don't agree with that, and that's perfectly fine. Lots of people said, you're only saying that because you're a City fan and you never won the Champions League before, so of course you'd say that. But, we won the Champions League last season, won the treble last season. I was in Istanbul for the Champions League final, and I maintain that I would still rather win the Premier League generally than the Champions League. Of course, it would be lovely to do back-to-back Champions Leagues, but if we win the Premier League, ain't no one done 4 in a row in not just Premier League history, in English football history. That's never been done. Not by the great teams of United, Liverpool, Arsenal, etc. So
I didn't hear that last one, but we'll move on.
So for me, if I could have one or the other, I would prefer to win the Premier League. That's basically because I'm of the view that you don't have to be the best team to win the Champions League, whereas you do, because obviously you have to be a good side, but there's a lot of luck involved, obviously. Anyone can beat anyone over 90 minutes in a knockout game, whereas the Premier League, there's never been an occasion in Premier League history where the team at the top of the table wasn't the best team in the division and didn't deserve to win it. And I'd rather be associated with being the better team. So that's personally why I'd rather win the Premier League. But hey, if there's another treble on the table, I'm all for it. But I do feel like, Spurs away, as we'll get into for City, is one of the biggest obstacles in recent history for us, so we shall see.
Yeah, hey, there's a few reasons why maybe when I say them, you already are aware, I'm sure, but might make you feel a little bit better about this fixture for yourself, because there's things that worry me more than usual. Obviously, we don't play the same way. That when we've gotten the results at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it has been because of the style that we play, I believe, and the quality that accented the counterattack and Harry Kane and Son. We'll have neither of those. Well, we won't have a countering attack. We won't be sitting back and just allowing you to have the ball. That's 5 things I just mentioned in the last 10 seconds that we are not going to be doing the same that we used to do. So I don't know why my camera's all funky. I feel like I'm super bright. My face looks all white. Is that Maybe it's just my monitor, and I'm.
I think you're looking good. You're looking good, and your camera's not bad either.
There we go. See, like there's more skin tone, but then I take it away, and it's like, let me just make your face all bright. But here, we'll move on. Look, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of questions I have for you. And if you're wondering, I wonder if Jacob wrote those down. No, I didn't. They're in here. And will I find them all? Likely not. But new ones will be. New questions will be formulated kind of as we go here. But let me just say what's up to some of the members here that checked into the chat. Andres, I saw your email. You're probably not listening, but I saw your email. I replied. Hope you are okay. Big up Mark Cook, as well as always the Nate Pies, all the Pie family. Donovan's in the house. Big up Donovan. Ash P, good to see you. Patty Hartnett and Peter Aga. Sarcasm Town Studios. How you doing? Talka's here. Quiz. Yeah, you're Spurs for the week, ain't you, Talka? Big up Cursor, my bro. Hope you're doing well. Chelsea Blue and Blue. Good to see you in the house. Chelsea fans hitting the likes. We've got Liverpool fans hitting the likes. Manchester United fan. So that tells me that every Tottenham Hotspur fan should at least be hitting the like, but we'll find out. Rowan Kumar's here. Big up Rowan. Hypa Noise says big up Jacob. Nobbins is a bit of a nerd, says Taka.
I'll tell you, that's a compliment.
Knowing your stuff naturally will put a target on your back, and I think that's what the quote unquote what they say, like nerds, right? There's a target on their back because look, you're talking
knowledge
about
is power.
Knowledge is power, and when people see that they don't have as much power as you, what do? They put you in a box. They label you as X, Y, or Z, and there it goes. But you know what, Nobbins? I appreciate people who. One, are knowledgeable, and two, like I said on the intro, you make me feel smarter after a conversation. When I listen to some Nobbins, I feel like I walk away with just a little bit more knowledge.
That's lovely. That is a perfect appraisal of what I would like my videos to be. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's perfect. And you do tactical breakdown. I'm just using this to see if it'll help. And you do tactical breakdown. Look at that. See, and then it changes. But for him, it will do it. But then for me, it's like maybe it's the hat. I don't know. I'm easily distractible, Nobbins. I'm very distractible.
No, I like it.
I started this channel with my best friend Michael, and he was the host, and he kind of kept the reins on everything. And then whenever he stopped doing stuff for the channel, and it was just me doing solos. Really, since then the reins have been off, and it's you quite never know where we might.
It's more chaos.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely more chaos. I would say it's organized chaos in the best way I could put that. But look,
sure.
I think we got Hugo here. Big up Hugo. Hello, Hugo. Hello, Becky. I see you on the house. Big up Nobbins. Are you more scared of Jota or Trent? Is what Becky wants to know. Already questions flying in for you.
Yeah, well, Trent in his current form is always going to be even. I don't think it was particularly good against City. I know he somehow got man of the match. I've given my thoughts on that. Obviously, when he's on the ball, yeah, terrifying because he can just ping a ball and immediately Salah's in, Diaz is in, etc. But I guess probably more so Jota because I thought that, for example, Doku played very well against Trent. So if someone like Doku is fit, then from a defensive standpoint, I'm not that scared of him. But certainly on the ball, Trent. So maybe overall, especially in his current form, Jota the Slaughter, as Liverpool fans call him, probably Jota, to be honest.
Honestly, Jota's finishing is quite something to see. It's he doesn't, if he takes a shot, it's usually going in. It's kind of, I think in number wise that would back that up too. I haven't really looked into it, but I've heard people talk about it. But anytime I watch him and he's in and around the goal with the ball at his feet, and if he gets his shot off, it's usually going to go in. It's I would say, if I had to answer this, I know Becky didn't ask my opinion, but Becky, you're going to get it anyway. I'd be more scared of Jota personally, especially if Trent's, occupying that middle area there. It leaves the left flank open for somebody to run down the pitch. And 100%. I think if you're City with Jeremy Doku, Jack Grealish, or whoever you want to put out there, you would definitely not be more scared of Trent, in my opinion, unless it's a set piece. I do rate Trent on the set pieces. But look, let me ask you just an opening question before we talk about City in the FA Cup. I want to get your perspective here.
Yes.
I want your initial opinions on Ange Postecoglou. Where did you feel where did you feel? What did you think initially when Spurs appointed him, and then where are you at now, kind of seeing 2021 matches in, more or less? Now you kind of have an idea of the way that this man wants to set up and play. What's your opinion as a City fan, as someone who they've linked Pep Guardiola to Ange Postecoglou from the City group? They were tied together, and Ange Postecoglou has credited Pep with a lot of things that he says he tries to implement his own style. Where are you at as someone, I know you've probably seen your fair share of Tottenham Hotspur for sure, right?
Yeah, but they are. Spurs are probably been my favourite side to watch this season, to be honest. But before he joined, when the name was mentioned, I'm not going to look at, because I don't watch Scottish football, so I won't pretend to say, oh yeah, I've heard so much about him. I was very ignorant and I never heard of him before. Didn't know what his style of play was. I didn't agree with lots of people. Yeah, I didn't agree with lots of people laughing at his CV and going, who's this like random person that they've hired? I thought that was very unfair. I'm always up for, people. Oh, fireworks! That's very cool.
Sorry about that. I don't know if it's mean for them to happen, but they happen from the. I do mean this. When I do this, you're gonna get some hearts. There you go.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
No, it's fine. Yes. So I was more open to it as like an idea. I was like, no, well, let's see what happens. Like they went with classic winning managers. Conte, Mourinho. Both of them didn't work. So I think it's totally fine to go for more of a quote unknown. So I was open to it, and from like week 1, 2, 3 immediately. Everyone loved him and everyone loved how Spurs were playing, and he basically blew out of the water the idea that, we would talk about, I know we're not talking about United, but, lots of people saying, Ten Hag, United, when's he going to implement his style of play? Well, it took Postecoglou like pre-season and he was done. As I say, the football's been fantastic. They were always going to struggle with injuries. With Maddison, for example, and then Van der Ven left, and then they had that pretty bad run. Obviously, they came to City and got a point against us, obviously. And again, I would really like, assuming it's Postecoglou goes from strength to strength as I think he will. I would genuinely love him as a future City manager, to be honest. When Pep ultimately, I know, hands off for now, but
I saw you saying that in the chat, and I was like, hang on now, don't just. I barely got a hold of the thing, and now I'm loving the way that this is looking so far. But
look, Pep's not leaving anytime soon.
That's strong of a feeling, huh?
Pep's not leaving anytime soon, so don't worry about it. But when people ask me, let's say Pep leaves tomorrow, what are the names that you would like to come in? One of those names on that shortlist is Postecoglou, 100%. I don't like the way that he gets talked about. Like when Spurs went through that bad patch, and we've got, I don't know if this is like a global thing or whatever, maybe it's just a British media thing, but we've got this thing in this country where we love making a hero and then bringing them back, crashing back down to earth. I feel like that's what's happened with Ange, to be honest. Like, everyone was loving him at the start. They loved his, honest interviews and the fact he's mate all the time and and then for some reason, the British media public, whatever, decided, now, right, we're done playing with this toy now. He's rubbish. He's a fraud. And I totally push back against that. I really don't like that. So yeah, I know that
English media kind of, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but from my humble opinion, throughout time with the big, I'll start with Gascoigne. Gascoigne. I was going to say Gazaniga. I don't know why. That's our old goalkeeper. I don't know why I was going to go. But with Gaza, they built him up, and then it's almost more fun for the media to watch it all come tumbling down. And I agree with you in a sense that it was starting to happen with Ange, and I felt like that, when I'm seeing articles come out, he's made them not Spursy anymore. I'm just like, bro, we had played 10 matches, I think, by that point. As a fan and as a shameless individual myself, I like to go around banging my chest at whatever I can. So it gave me a lot of ability to do that. But I always knew that eventually that loss was right around the corner. A couple losses. I even said that I'm still curious to see how Ange responds when he has a loss, a back-to-back loss. Two, 3 losses in quick succession. How does he respond? What do we do? And at every juncture, he has tried to adapt and change, and he's tweaked and twisted. And by the end of it, we've seen Brazil's number 2 and the captain of Wales as our center backs, and that's not a position. I give it that title because it sounds better than if I say Emerson Royale and Ben Davies as our center backs. You know, Brazil's number 2 and the captain of Wales. That has a nice little sales pitch to it. But to go with that, and we were still, able to scrape some results with not the greatest of performances. I think that speaks to somewhat of the mindset that he has instilled here. And from a Spurs perspective, I think that is the main thing that I've seen as far as these players' ability to just hang in there. I mean, well, I can't even think about what match it was, but we went down twice and we just kept swinging. And most recent. It's been so long since I even watched, and as a horrible host, I obviously don't have our fixtures pulled up in front of my face. Who was it? Was it
just while you're looking? I was also just going to say that he's also had lots of
United,
injuries.
That's what it was.
United. Yeah, he's had loads of injuries to deal
twice.
with, and he's only had half. And that's the thing. He's been there half a season, and he's already doing absolute bits. Like I thought Spurs were going to finish 4th this season before a ball was kicked, but they're doing much better than I thought they would do, particularly with the style of play. And I don't think Spurs personally deserved a point at the Etihad. I don't think they were great. I think City were more bad. However, the fact of the matter is he rocked up to the Etihad with 4 fullbacks and managed to get a point out of the game. Whether it's deserved or not is irrelevant. He still got something from it. So I think he deserves a lot of credit, to be honest. I like Ange, as I say. I won't say a bad thing about him. I like him.
Well, I like him, and you know what? As a child, Nobbins, kangaroos were my favorite animal. So
Brilliant.
Naturally, when we get linked with the man
poetic.
down under, look at this. I've got a victory kangaroo, and I like to whip this out.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that on Sam's stream. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have a bigger one too, and there's a little Conte bobblehead in the pouch, and a little bottle of Greek ouzo that I got from Greece. But, I've liked whipping this thing out for some victories, and I'm really hoping to whip it out again on Friday. But look, as far as Ange Postecoglou, I also want to ask you, the faults that people have placed on him, which I haven't really, because I don't really blame him for us going out against Fulham in the Cup. People said I'm a soft, happy clapping fan for that. People said I'm an Ange sympathist for that, and I don't necessarily blame him for the way that the Chelsea match went either. These are symptoms of a problem that I've been witnessing for quite some time. So when the symptom keeps happening, it's like, well, yeah, that's a problem we've had for a long time, which is mentality, mindset, and quality of players and depth, and et cetera, et cetera. So has there been any moment this season for you where you're like, you know what, Ange actually really got it wrong there, and he could have done X, Y, and Z differently? Or where did you kind of see with the Chelsea and the early leaving of the cup with Fulham?
Yeah, so I didn't watch the Fulham game. I'm not going to lie. So I
he rotated really 9 out of 11 players basically, and we ended up drawing and lost on penalties.
Sure, yeah. In terms of games I did watch, I do think the Chelsea game was a mistake. I understand. I think you and I discussed it maybe on Hassam's channel as well. I appreciate that, he's got a style of play which he really wants to persist with. And I understand that, if you got players out, for let's say 3 games, it doesn't make sense to totally change the style of play for those 3 games, because that's not going to help you long term over the course of a season. However, in a very isolated period of, 30 minutes, I think Spurs were 2-1 up still at 30 minutes with 9 men. For 30 minutes, I think you can abandon your philosophy and your play style, and you can secede a little bit, even if you're at home. That was the big one for me. I don't really have too much of an issue with like the Wolves loss, for example, and like that bad run. I don't really have much of an issue with those results, because as we've discussed, there was no Van der Ven, there was no Romero, there was no Maddison, some of their best players. So I've got a lot of sympathy with him there. But we have also seen that, Ange, as much as I've criticised him for that, against City, for example, he did adapt his game, in fairness. I know it wasn't total low block defensive football. However, that was the lowest Spurs' back line had been all season up until that point. Like I remember doing researching it for my analysis video. That was the lowest, the deepest that Spurs had been. Obviously, they still try to play out from the back, but they did adapt slightly. So he can clearly do it. I'd like to see a bit more evolution in his game, and we'll see that as his career goes on. But no, overall, I think that he's been very promising and very good this season, and that's why, again, I would really, really like him as a future City manager, potentially. I think there's a lot of potential in Ange, and the Spurs project so far. If I'm a Spurs fan, I'm loving this season. I think it's been fantastic because you've lost your best player, Harry Kane. This could have been a disastrous season potentially. You could have gone into free fall. Where did you finish 7th or 8th last season? Maybe I think it was quite low for Spurs.
I believe it was 7th. I quickly tried to forget. It wasn't a great time at the end of last season.
Yeah, exactly.
We did start that season off strong. We started off okay, and then the wheels just, once they came off, the whole thing fell apart. And it kind of seemed like when the wheels looked like they were starting to wobble here with the Ange project, when we're getting injuries, suspensions, etc., looked like we were able to mentally and emotionally cope a little bit better than last season. And I think that does have to do with Ange Postecoglou's mindset. That I agree. Yeah. I would agree with you, but I would also say hands off my manager. That's my guy. No,
as I say, I'm just saying a short list for future stuff. I'm not saying right now. Pep ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Don't worry about that. I'm talking about way in the future.
So if there was a video of you dancing, celebrating the signing of Ange Postecoglou, would that be a video that you would say I would have access to? Sorry, any excuse to play it. I was looking for any. Yeah, I love that. I love that clip. One of my favorite things, and thank you, Hassam, for sending that to me. Look, I want to ask you a few things about City and y'all's season thus far, and people are saying what they love to say about City in the first half of seasons. Oh, they're different this year. There's things not looking right. Stuff's falling off, and I've always kind of been of the mindset like the champions never really out till they're out. You know what I mean? What do you make on just really the first 20 matches in the Premier League from City? Obviously not the top, but y'all weren't great, but you're still what? A game in hand, 5 points off top? Not a bad little spot for the reigning champs to be whenever you actually do turn on that oven.
Yeah, it has been a weird season for City. Obviously we lost our best player, in the first game, Kevin De Bruyne. He's only just come back. But as you rightly say, City went in that game where we drew against Chelsea, we drew against Spurs, we drew against Liverpool, we lost against Villa, etc., drew against Palace. That was Pep's worst ever period in football as a manager. Never mind just at City, just generally speaking. This is like City's worst first half of a season. Whilst Pep was at City or something like that, and yet, again. We might not win our game in hand, but for argument's sake, let's say we do. That would mean we were only 2 points off, and now our best player is coming back, and also Haaland is coming back, and John Stones is coming back. So I'm going to be optimistic and hope that with our best players, you would assume that with our best players coming back, we would be better. But yeah, this has been a very weird season generally. Like I don't think anyone's been excellent so far. There were moments where both Liverpool or Arsenal could have ran away with it. If this was Liverpool from a few years ago, that's definitely what would have happened. But no one's taken the league by the scruff of the neck. This is a very winnable league, I feel like, and at the top level at least, relatively weak compared to what we've seen sort of 4 or 5 years ago or whatever. So I'm going to hope that with De Bruyne coming back, Haaland, Stones, Akanji as well, everyone getting back to full fitness, we can hopefully go on a nice little run. We've obviously got a massive game at Anfield. Arsenal have got to come to us. We've also got to go to Spurs in the league. I forgot about that. So there's lots of big games still to come. We're only halfway through that's the thing. We're only halfway through the league, and there's what, like another. If you play 20 games, was that 18 times 3? There's another 54 points up for grabs, or there or thereabouts. So anything can happen. I'm going to be hopeful, though, and say that, De Bruyne coming back and we hopefully win the league. I think it's too early for the Spurs game, but long-term thinking, if he can stay fit, if we can keep our players fit, City should be winning the league realistically.
I would say that 95% of fans that weren't just going with their club to win a lot of, the tribalism, right? Oh, we're going to win it. We're for sure going to win it. This is our year. I love that and I appreciate it. But I think, when you talk to, like, I guess the content creators, people who are talking about it online and on television, etc., they would all likely predict that City are the eventual champions. I predicted Liverpool would be second, dark horse contenders at the beginning of the season, just because Pep, Klopp, those are two managers, in my opinion, you can't really count out until it's out. I mean, look how Liverpool was last season in the beginning half, and then versus the second half. That just speaks to the quality of Jurgen Klopp. I think that despite adversity, despite some of the circumstances not going their way, etc., that they were able to come out on top in some sense. I know that they were still like, we don't want Europa, but hey, they can hold that. Shout out Joel Matip. But look, I want to ask you, there's a guy last summer and in the last January, well, not in the summer because y'all signed him in the summer, but the January and the summer prior to that, a lot of Spurs fans, myself included, were more or less frothing at the mouth at the prospects of maybe getting a guy like Josko Vardiol in. I want to ask you, first season in the Premier League, just made the big move from RB Leipzig. Was it 90 mil, 80 mil? Has he lived up to expectations? Where you kind of feel as him as a player, from an outside perspective? Again, not a very in-depth, close look. When I watch Rivals, I'm not singling out any players unless it's Arsenal, but you can understand that why. But I would say that he hasn't set the world ablaze like maybe necessarily I thought he would. What's your take on Josko Vardiol in his first half of his first season in the Premier League?
I think he's been brilliant, to be honest. There have been some big moments in like big games where he hasn't necessarily covered himself in glory from a defensive standpoint. However, just from an overall league perspective, I think he's been fantastic. If someone asked me, I know you probably disagree with a doggy. If you asked me to do a team of the season, so far, I would personally have Gvardiol in a left back. I do think he has been
over my man Ugodi.
Yes, I think Gvardiol has been fantastic. He has been very good. I promise you, mate. I'm
gonna need some help here. Hang on. Whoa.
My left back didn't get sent off against Chelsea. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, sometimes when in the heat of battle, when shit means something to you, Nobbins, when that shit means something to me, man.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.
That's what I'm talking about. He feels the I can't blame the kid for, and honestly, that second yellow was bullshit. Shoulder to shoulder.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought he should have got a red card for his first challenge. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, this isn't about Destiny. So Gvardiol. I think
it's always
again,
about
for me,
Destiny. It's always
for me
about
personally. He's been fantastic.
It's Happy Udogi. It was last month was Happy Destiny Udogi month. I don't know if I'll give you the little backstory. So we extended we signed him to a bigger contract. We gave him a pay raise because he's the GO. He's i.e. Destiny Ugodi. Sure. And then I went on stream and I was like, Happy Destiny Ugodi Day. And I got made fun of. People like to poke fun at people having a good time. And it actually led to a very fun clip, which led me into the mindset, I'm going to lean into the things that people don't like, right? If you say, oh, I don't like the fact that you're celebrating signing the best left back, the best young left back in the league to an extension, thus making it more expensive if someone did try to swoop in and take him, I'm going to celebrate that. And if you don't like it, I really don't care. But I got a nice little clip about it. And then it made me into this mindset of, this ain't just Udogi Day. I celebrated Udogi week. Last month was Udogi month. And you know what? May as well carry it on to the year. It's Happy Destiny Udogi year every single time. Nobbins.
Destiny Udogi. Oh, yes. Oh, Destiny Udogi Day. Hey. Idiots, man.
So
Brilliant.
Happy Destiny Udogi year to everyone out there who may or may not be watching. But continue with I need to hear more of. Tell me why Josko Vardiol. Now I know you're in the middle of your answer, but I need to know how and why you think Josko Vardiol has been a better left back. Outside, is it just the sending off?
No, it's just, and no, that was more tongue in cheek. I was just being cheeky. I think both have been very good. I would just personally have Gvardiol slightly higher than him. You know, this is the end of the day. This is people forget how young he is. I believe he's 21 years old. The beard fools people. He's a very young man. A centre half by trade, but we play him at left back because that's how we do it. But also recently, he's even been playing basically left wing against Newcastle and also against Crystal Palace. And he's been very good in both those games on the ball, especially. What that does is it allows our wide play, you know, whether it's Grealish or Doku or whoever, to play more centrally and to have more of an impact there. And he doesn't look out of place. Again, to think this is a centre-back, really, who's playing at left wing and doesn't look out of place. His first touch is unbelievable. His connection with Foden when he plays in that left central midfield area is fantastic. He's always fizzing the ball into him. And again, I know that he's made a couple of high-profile defensive mistakes or whatever, you know, for example.
I seen him getting turned around like one of them soft 80s music videos with the sparkly filter, you know what I mean?
Was that against Chelsea?
Every now and then he's doing the little la 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 la.
Who was that against? Was that against Chelsea? Can you remember?
Yeah.
I can't recall.
I can't remember, but I remember 2 instances this year where I was like, man, maybe he's just an adjustment period. Again, this is from a very casual perspective, so I'm not standing on a hill like this guy was bad. But I know when a player comes into City that they're going to be asked to do things maybe they haven't done before that Pep necessarily thinks he could get out of them, and 2 is utilize that versatility that he can pull from him. So him playing as a left back didn't really surprise me because he kind of played as like a left-sided center back for Leipzig, and he's not unfamiliar with those areas. But I just, you know, reminiscent of the one time that Lionel Messi got the best of him at the World Cup. I saw that a couple times in the Premier League where he could get got at. And against Spurs, the guy brought on to replace this $90 million center back, left back, he ended up getting dunked on by Kulusevski. So I'm just wondering, like,
Okay,
yeah. I wonder if
that's the thing. Gvardiol was defensively solid against Spurs. Ake wasn't.
LeBron James.
Sorry, I know it may not be. Hopefully Nathan Ake is not watching, but he absolutely got dunked on by LeBron James.
No, I agree.
Big up David Shear in the chat. I see Staffy the fraud is here. Always good to see. Ash P says your CDM got sent off. Do you not rate Rodri anymore?
As I say, the red card thing was more tongue in cheek. I was just being a bit naughty.
I love it. You know what? Because I think if you've ever heard me anywhere, I'm always going to fight for my guys. I'll tell you that Vicario deserves to be Team of the Year goalkeeper because his defense hasn't been that great. But then at the same breath, I will nominate my entire back line for Team of the Year as well.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm happy with Vicario going in over Alisson. I don't have an issue with that, to be fair.
Oh, tell me more. There are Liverpool fans in the chat, so tell me more.
He's just been really good, hasn't he? I think that I apologise. I don't have the stat right in front of me, but there's a metric. I believe it's called post shot expected goals, less goals allowed. It's basically a stat which tells you how good a goalkeeper is from a shot stopping perspective. And Vicario leads the way by a very, very strong margin. So objectively, from a shot stopping perspective, he's prevented the most goals in the Premier League by a significant margin. So that's why I would again, obviously Alisson, unbelievable goalkeeper, you know, best in the Premier League, whatever. But if you're asking me based on the games we've seen so far, and also to consider that this is his first season in the Premier League, I think it's been fantastic. I'd never heard of him, and he's brilliant. Long may it continue from a Spurs perspective.
I call him Vicario Sicario because he's the silent assassin back there flying around. You never know where he's going to pop up and what he's going to do. Look, we got some people in the chat. Big up. Real quick, Benito Sotelo says, ask Nobbins about that Pace Merchant Walker. And then Rage at V coming in saying, Man City right back is a thumb. What's going on with Kyle Walker, my man?
He's not played well this season. Let's put it that way. It's such a shame. I need to make it clear, I love Kyle Walker. I think that he's the greatest right back in Premier League history if you're making like an all-time team. And Walker and not just from his time at City, by the way, also from his time at Spurs, where he was very good and fantastic, whereas more of an offensive right back, and he's changed his game totally at City. But this season, there's just been a massive drop-off. Basically, every game, he's either offered nothing or has been a burden defensively, or has been like a net negative. I don't really know what the explanation is. I was looking at it last season. Some people are trying to gaslight me, trying to say that Walker played more than I thought. He only played around 50% of the minutes in the Premier League and Champions League last season. He was a relative bit part player in our treble year. Go to the Champions League final. You tell me if Kyle Walker started or did Akanji actually start? Akanji started. So for me, I like Kyle Walker as a squad player, but no one has started more minutes. Sorry, no one's played more minutes this season than Kyle Walker. He's our captain, and suddenly he's become...
Could it be the personal problems? Heard he's got a divorce and he did the whole "let me take my son to court" thing, which was quite cute. I did enjoy that.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about the personal stuff. All I can do is like look at what I see on the pitch, and it is just like really weird. It's just really weird defensive errors.
You don't like to assume, speculate, and draw conclusions?
I'm just not interested in off-pitch stuff, to be honest. I don't really care what's
surely you can...
I don't care what's going on off the pitch. You close down Johnson against Spurs in the 90th minute to prevent the cross coming in. You don't look at him and go, oh, will I put a foot in or not? No, you close him down. Same against Crystal Palace. You don't just look at the long ball coming in and allow Ruben Diaz to be put in a 1v1 situation from one ball over the top.
But maybe those lapse in judgments could be things attributed to off-field that can affect the way you train into leading up to a match, right? Like maybe your sharpness is 95% when you needed 100% for the entirety of being out there. I always, we're humans. We're as much as I like to say Erling Haaland's a robot. He's not. We all have things on the inside that we.
If it was that bad, though, I mean, no one's going to know more about whether it's affecting Kyle Walker than Kyle Walker. Surely you say that to the manager and go, "Sorry, mate, my head's not in it. I don't think I can do this right now. Just give me like a couple games out." Maybe you could place a burden at Pep's door as well. So that's why I'm personally not too interested in that. Again, if it was really impacting him, tell the manager, tell them and go, again, I just need a few weeks off just to sort my head out. This is why I've been having bad games. I think that's a very easy excuse. I just think that there's just been a natural lapse in his game, which probably started last season, mitigated by the fact he only played around half the time. We've known for a while he's not been very good offensively. This season, he's been given more of a right-wing role at times, which just hasn't worked from a him perspective. The only reason that's good is because it allows Foden to play more central, and we know how good, well, hopefully we all know how good Foden is, especially when he plays centrally. But from a Walker isolation perspective, we know he can't do much going forwards. And recently, as I say, I alluded to the Palace game, the Spurs game, the Sheffield United game where he backheels in his own box. Even recently against the Newcastle game, I'm sorry, I'm blaming him for both those goals. Two fantastic finishes, but I don't care. Walker's got to do so much better there. He's not offering the defensive side to his game, which he's associated with. So, and I've said it many times, I personally wouldn't start him anymore. If everyone's fully fit and you're asking me to pick the best team, Walker doesn't start for me. Akanji plays. And again, I bring you back to last season, Champions League final. Everyone was fit, everyone available. Pep's going to play his strongest side, or the side he thinks is the strongest, and Walker was on the bench. And I think that speaks volumes to me.
Okay. So a little bit of makeshift, a little bit of Pep Guardiola, and that's why he's been relied on so heavily. Interesting. Now, I want to ask you again about a couple things in regards to City. So obviously the news today, Calvin Phillips, he's going on to West Ham on loan. What happened there? What do you think happened? I've rated him pretty highly. I watched Leeds. I watched them the year before they came up. I kept attention on them when they were in the Premier League, and I've been keeping attention on them now that they're back in the Championship. And for me, he was part of the reason why they got promoted and why they stayed up. Then you take him and Rafinha out that side, and wow, now they fall down. To me, he was a major reason for their success, their promotion, their retaining of being promoted that following year. He was, for me, their MVP. And I gave Rafinha the MVP on the last day because he did score the goal that did keep them up. But I think that's a hell of a player there in Calvin Phillips. What do you think as a City fan? What happened there? Where did you see? Are you disappointed? Was he just not good enough? Does he not play the right style? I'm real curious to know where you. And this is again not one of those written down questions. I just thought of it because I quite like Calvin Phillips, and he's now going to fucking West Ham. I hate West Ham.
Yeah, it's a shame. I really wanted it to work. It hasn't for a number of reasons. First of all, just from a practical perspective, you are never going to dislodge Rodri from his position ever. Because in my opinion, he's the best defensive midfielder in the world. Barely anyone plays as many minutes as him. And so you're never going to get a run of games in that position. So Phillips was basically doomed to fail from the start because he was never going to be able to be a 6 and be a defensive midfielder on a consistent basis. Even if you go back to before Rodri, you think of like the City side with Fernandinho, who was our backup defensive midfielder. Didn't have one. Again, we had a player in Gundogan who played more as an 8, but he could fill in that position. When Fernandinho left and Rodri came, that's exactly what happened. We had Gundogan who could play as the 8 but could fill in, so he could still get minutes. So it was doomed to fail in that sense anyway. It was also not a great matchup in the sense of Phillips, from what I've seen. And obviously he's had a limited time at City. I can only judge him based off what I have seen. The main issue with Phillips for me is that he likes the play to be in front of him. So he likes to have the ball facing the opposition goal. Right, this is what's in front of me. I know what's going on. That's not good enough if you want to be a City defensive midfielder. One of Rodri's best attributes is when his back is to the opposition and when he's receiving the ball under pressure. He's very calm and collected in that sense. Phillips seems to be the exact opposite of that. He can't do that. It's a very tricky trait. Not many players have it. As I say, Rodri can do it. Rico Lewis is another who can do it at City. But Phillips can't.
Rico Lewis.
I love Rico Lewis. He's a baller. Even in the limit last year, I think am I right in assuming he was the reason why Pep was like, yeah, get out of here, Zinchenko. I don't need you because I've got the Rico Lewis. Am I correct in assuming that? Yeah. So he dislodged Cancelo from his starting place, and a lot's been made of that. Like Cancelo apparently said, I'm not letting this kid play ahead of me, but his performance has warranted it. There was a period where Walker got taken outside as well. I
forgot about João Cancelo. That's a hell of a left back too.
Exactly, yeah. And so he was able to dislodge both Cancelo and Walker. And for me, I know I've deviated from the Phillips, so I'll pivot back to Phillips in a second. But we don't win the treble without Rico Lewis because he was the inspiration behind the system. Pep saw Rico Lewis, a right back who can play midfield, and was like, right, I can make something work here. We created the 3-2-2-3 system, which won us the treble by swapping in Stones for Lewis. So without Lewis as inspiration, we don't win the treble. So a shout out to Gal. So that's Rico Lewis. And just like go back to Phillips. So it was doomed from a perspective of he was never going to get the minutes. He also joined us with a big shoulder injury as well. So that was a big issue. And I also think that maybe this is more speculation, but Leeds played a very, very high intensity game. Really, really, aggressive, tenacious, lots of energy expended. I wonder whether Phillips, just from a physical perspective, coupled with that shoulder injury, which I think he dislocated his shoulder like immediately upon joining City, has he just lost that physicality to his game potentially, or does he need like significant periods of time and minutes and fitness to get back to that stage? Again, he's never going to get that at City. I obviously watch England games as well. Even his England performances, whilst he's been a City player, have been bad. They've been very bad, which is weird because Phillips normally plays really well for England, but whenever he's been a City player, bad. Maybe it's confidence, maybe it's fitness, maybe it's a combination therein. But there's loads of reasons why it hasn't worked, sadly, and it's a shame because as a human being, He seems to be a really nice person. I really wanted it to work for him.
Yeah, he's got a lot of reason to root for him from a human aspect. He's one of those really good people. Apparently, he's done a lot for the Yorkshire area. Is that correct? Yorkshire, whatever it's called.
Yorkshire, yeah.
Worcestershire sauce. I love it all. Yeah, really disappointed to see kind of what's happening. As much as I want the kid's career to turn good, now he's at West Ham, and I unfortunately have to pray on his downfall. Of course. It's just, them's the rules.
I understand.
But look, we are over 45 minutes into the show. There's over 120 people across all 3 platforms. So I want everyone to do me a favor right now. Make sure you are hitting a like on the video. Now, for some reason, YouTube untagged your channel in the dang description of this video. So I'm going in here right now and I'm writing this wrong. YouTube can try to hold us back, but they cannot. They will not. I will not allow it.
Fraudulent platform.
It's total fraudulence. They've been doing that lately. Every time you tag somebody in the title, they undo it. So then I started putting them in the description, and then now it's also doing it again. But look, it's in there for right now. And so I'm going to click that, and I'm going to pull up the channel link. And just real quick, I want you all to do me a favor. Whatever platform you're watching on, click this link. Go to @Nobbins, a fantastic channel over there. Please go over there and give this man a like and subscribe. He does some great content. You do a lot of covering of analysis. There was a great... let the people know what you kind of do over there. I'm going to waffle about it, but man, I got you here. May as well hear what the horse got to say, right?
Yeah, so I've recently started a new series on my channel where sort of like the idea is like a sort of Sky Sports style post-match analysis. I've got a touch screen. I've got a bird's eye view camera where you can see my beautiful hands, and I've got my tactical board and and as I say, I can annotate stuff. And the idea is that for example, if you're, I'm assuming you're a Spurs fan, if you're watching this, there will be a post-match analysis of the Spurs game coming up on the channel after the game happens, where again I break down what I think were the key storylines from the game where the match was won and lost, the tactics and that sort of thing. So if you like tactical videos and analysis videos, again, I did one recently about can Foden and De Bruyne play midfield together, then that is the channel for you. There's obviously a focus towards City, but the idea is to expand it to not just City stuff. So, for example, when Arsenal and Liverpool play against each other, that will be an interesting match to analyse. So, yeah, that's my channel. Very cool.
I do enjoy it. You do. I know you do some City watch-alongs and stuff. You got all the bells and whistles. I've seen you. That's very nice. So please do go subscribe. I always promote good people here on the channel. That's only people I promote. So if he's on the channel and I'm putting the link up and you can click it and subscribe right now, I'll tell you what, it costs you nothing and it's fantastic. So go ahead and do that for me. Again, thank you for being here. But it is time to get to the nitty gritty. I have started a couple of questions and they're both from the same person. The first one, I guess this is the best kind of segue question I can ask. And this is from Ash P. She's also a YouTube chat member. She's been on this channel before. She's on Talking Ball. She's a great Spurs Indian correspondent out there. She's, as I say, my correspondent in India. So she's got friends in high places at EA Sports. We're trying to get Ange Postecoglou face scanned into the game, and he's not yet, but we're working on it. But Nobbins, question here says, since City has bigger ambitions, do you, City fans, rate the FA Cup? And then I want to follow that up by saying, where do you think your club, I want to hear where you stand, but where do you think City, how they're going to view this? Is it, let's try and get KDB and Haaland up to fitness, warm-up type match? Is it something we want to take it very seriously, like when you were going for the treble? Where do you see your club at, and then where are you at as far as your ambitions for the FA Cup specifically?
Yeah. So I can't speak on behalf of all City fans, obviously. I'm one of the older City fans. I was just speaking to Jacob off stream. I'm probably older than you think I am. So for
guys,
example,
he wouldn't even tell me how old he is. All right, he wouldn't even disclose that information. He may work for the FBI. I don't know. I got my eyes on you, Nobbins.
So I was a fan when we were rubbish, basically, as well. Like when we're in the third tier, etc. So for me, I value every trophy very, very highly. I don't care if it's Community Shield, League Cup, UEFA Super, whatever. I want to win everything. I don't care. I was so angry when we lost the Community Shield against Arsenal. For me, I can't just brush that off and go, oh, it's only it's only a no. I need to win that. I'm very competitive as a person.
It's only a dinner plate, isn't that what they say?
I don't care what anyone says. I want to win it. I want to win everything. And so of course, I personally really rate and value the FA Cup. Fantastic competition. I think Pep rates it as well. Pep has never purposefully sacked off a cup competition, even the League Cup. Even if we got through that Newcastle game, we basically would have had to play children because we'd been involved in the Club World Cup. He still put out a decently strong side. And that's the thing with City. Like, we don't really play children. Like, Oscar Bob might play, who was only like 2021, but even he is a very good player, even though he's an academy player. We're not going to throw this game. We don't throw games. I think Pep does respect all the cup competitions.
How come all
to be
the
honest.
kids, real quick, I'm going to, as the squirrel in my brain runs to another branch on a tree in the middle of a park, I'm going to ask you, how come every child I see play for Manchester City, they're Foden, Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis, it's these guys, it's like, geez. And then even if they don't come from the academy, you just grab some kid out of Argentina and guess what? He can score you a bunch of goals and go win a World Cup. He's literally completed football, and I don't even think he's 20 years old yet. Just about a couple years younger than you there, Nobbins. But what is it? What are y'all doing? What's in is it something in the water? Is it just an the end product of seeing Pep Guardiola enforcing his style and ethos? Because I'm going to long form question this real quick and throw Spurs into the hat because I love doing that. Any way I can segue into Spurs a little bit, I will. This is something I've wanted to see from Spurs, which is a guy come in, say, this is my philosophy, this is how I'm playing, and I want all the children to do that as well. And then you have that person in power for a couple years, 4 or 5, and all of a sudden your 14-year-olds are now 19, and they've been playing this style for 5 years. And when James Maddison goes down with an ankle injury, boom, we have the next James Maddison in the academy ready to go. Is that what's going on at City? I've assumed that's what's happening. From my perspective, it's just like he's come in, he has this style. He says all the kids play this style, and eventually, if I need to pluck somebody, I got that option because these little chickens, they've been running my routes the entire time. So yeah, I've been wanting that for my club. Is that what kind of talk me through what's going on with City there? Because I think we're starting to do that now with Postecoglou. But from your perspective, where was it when it first started and kind of where it's at now, where it's only hitting gold with the kids that play?
Yeah, well, you spot on. Yeah, I totally agree. We have been, as a club, we have been preparing for Guardiola to be our manager since 2013, when Mancini was still manager. Pellegrini was a stopgap. We wanted Pep before he left Bayern, but he committed to Bayern before us, so obviously we couldn't get him. So even before Guardiola joined, we were getting all, the director of football, the CEO are all ex-Barcelona from when Guardiola was there. Everything was to prepare for his coming, and in the same way how the first team play this style of football, the elite development squad play the same way, the under-8s play the same way through every single age category, the idea being that you produce players like Rico Lewis, who I think is 19 years old. So he's been playing with this style of football for over a decade at City, and it means that when it eventually comes to the point of is he good enough for the first team, turns out he's the perfect right back for Pep Guardiola. He's a midfielder who can play, who is also a right back, or vice versa, whatever. So yeah, the whole club ethos has to be on the same. They have to be on the same page, and that starts at all age groups. That starts at the CEO. That starts at the director of football, the manager, etc. And to hopefully mean that when Guardiola eventually leaves, that we get another manager in with a similar philosophy, and he's going to have at his disposal a culture which plays into his own ethos and his own philosophy and ideas. That is how you do it, and that's allowed us to be so well run. This is why opposition clubs, want our board members and executives, as we saw with Omar Barada going to United to be their CEO. This is why we were able to demand a good fee for Lavia, for Palmer, for all of these really young players who people had never heard of, but then suddenly, like Trafford, for example, Burnley signed him for like around £15 million, I think. There's this keeper who hadn't played a single minute for Man City. Lavia, again, not a minute for Man City. Palmer didn't score a Premier League goal for Man City, but you're able to get this amount of money because in general, if you're if you're hiring from City, whether it's a board member, director, COO, youth player, they're going to have that City DNA, which is beneficial in the footballing landscape. So yeah, so if Ange can inspire a similar thing at Spurs, there's got to be a long-term vision, and everyone's got to be on the same page. But yeah, that's exactly what has happened at City, and we've obviously seen the dividends early on, but that's culminated ultimately in us winning, the treble, the quintuple. So yeah, it is. I think they've wanted to execute that vision since 2013 when Mancini got sacked, and that's what they have been doing basically since Guardiola came in.
And there's a question that came in from a major supporter of the channel, and I want to make sure I get to David Shears asking honest question, not trying to troll at all. And again, I want to preface this before I say it. Nobbins, I know you didn't commit any of those crimes that your club has been accused of, but it's funny because as a City rep, everywhere you go, they're like, Nobbins, you cheating bastard. What did you do that for? And it's like, come on, guys.
Dare I?
But so I do want to preface that by saying I understand, although I will, shout out Vader. He's a City fan who's in the chat as well. I will, just say 115 at any time I can as a banter's sake. But
I appreciate that.
Aside from, I don't want to talk about the charges and all that, because again, it's like, I feel like anywhere you go, I'm sure you get these questions, and it's like you answering for why Johnny John, your friend from high school, robbed the gas station 20 years after you graduate. I don't know. Ask John, but that's just my perspective. But David here's got a question in regards to kind of what you were talking about now that you mentioned City had previously wanted Pep. This was kind of a long-term vision, and it's now happening. Says before the money came into City, would Pep be as successful? So before the money came in, are we saying when the money came in, that's when the plan for Pep became a reality? Then
we don't. So the money came in. So the takeover happened in 2008. So we spent a lot of money early on, but we spent it on really weird players. Adebayor and Robinho. They're not bad players. We're also linked with a really mental, massive bid for Kaká. This obscene amount of money. Not bad signings, but not the level of what we would associate with City now. I think that sits the City back then, as I say, just after the takeover. They were sort of finding their feet, and it was the right idea, but maybe not the right execution. It would take a couple of years for them to get it right, bring in the likes of Yaya Toure, David Silva, Sergio Aguero, Kolarov, Company, Zabaleta, etc. So there were a couple of stinkers in there as well, as in the main one being Robinho. That was a British record transfer, and he was good for maybe half a season. So we had the money a bit before Pep came in. Obviously, Mancini won it. But no, Pep definitely wouldn't have been as successful, nor would any manager, to be honest. This is why I don't have an issue with when people say, not just Pep, ex-manager is a checkbook manager. I have a big issue with the notion of a checkbook manager, because every long-term successful manager has spent hundreds of, tens of millions and hundreds of millions of pounds in order to win trophies. You can't point to any Premier League team which has been consistently successful and which hasn't spent a vast sum of money. The only outlier is Leicester, and they weren't consistently successful. Outside of that, obviously, City spent a lot of money. Have Liverpool spent as much as City? No, but let's not act like they are paupers. They spent a world record amount for a defender and a world record amount for a goalkeeper. This is not a poor club which doesn't spend money. Manchester United Fergie broke the British transfer record 5 times, and they've done it 7 overall. No, I don't think you can really name a manager which has been consistently successful which hasn't spent money, or a lot of money anyway.
I can name the antithesis a lot. Den Haag comes to mind. They've spent damn near $500 million,
and that's a very good point. And Chelsea as well. Look, obviously, this is a two-sided thing. Obviously, you have to spend money to be consistently successful. However, you also need to be able to spend it well. And that in itself, recruitment is one of the hardest elements of football. If it was as easy as spend the most money equals the most successful team, then Man United would have done more since their last league title than win like a Europa League, 2 League Cups, 2 FA Cups, whatever it is, because they've spent more than anyone else in that period across the world. By the way, not even just Europe. That's just across the world. So yeah, obviously Pep had to spend money, but everyone, if you want to be successful longer term in football at the highest level, you've got to spend money. I don't think you can name me one example where someone's been consistently successful, winning league titles in the Premier League, in the highest leagues, and not spending hundreds of millions, etc.
And then at the same rate, not to try and defend City here, but over time, players, the quality has remained what it is, and the price has been going up and up and up. I mean, look, Kai Havertz for 65 mil is absolutely atrocious. Mason Mount for 65 mil, that's atrocious. Richarlison for 60 mil, that's a $30 million striker, as far as I know it. But now it's 60, and now everything's a little bit more expensive than it used to be. So, in a sense, I don't like to say like, oh, it's only money, it's only this, that. I only like to do that in the sense of if you spend a lot of money and you're middle of the table like a Chelsea, then I think it's a little bit more warranted of a conversation. But you're spending money, you're winning. Isn't that what we're trying to do here? We're trying to spend money and win too. It's just we ain't spent it right. We spent 60, 70 on Ndombele, and he's in Turkey right now. And
exactly, yeah. So. As we say, you need to spend it and spend it well. Spending well is an art. Again, if it was as easy as just spend a load of money, then Chelsea, United would have won much more than they have. But the fact of the matter is they've both outspent City, but City have won, obviously, a lot more in that period.
Yeah, fair enough. And look, we are over an hour on the stream. There's over 130 people across all 3 platforms. So do me a favor, make sure you are liking and subscribing if you so choose. Again, I always say nothing is mandatory. Do as you please. Do as they're free. You can help the channel for free. You can share the video with your mother, your brother, your cousin, your sister, your auntie, your uncle, your nephew and your niece, your mailman, and the guy next door or girl. That's 10 people you can share it to. Absolutely works wonders for the channel. But look, we do need to preview City, and I don't know how much longer I have you for. So I did try and put his title, or his name in the title rather, so it should be blue letters. You can click it. It's very, very simple to get to Nobbins channel and subscribe over there. But there's a question from Rich asking about Cole Palmer real quick. What do you think of Cole Palmer? Do you regret letting him go? He wanted to kind of go be a main man somewhere, and he got his chance, and seems like he's taking it. Real quick, did you want Cole Palmer to stay? Where are you at with Cole Palmer?
I'm very happy for him and glad he's doing well against a testament to our academy. In an ideal world, he would have stayed. But people look at Cole Palmer's performances this season, which have been very good, but they don't, in the same way of what Lavia did at Southampton, he wouldn't have been playing like this at City because he never would have been made the main man at City. So he's obviously playing very well at Chelsea, but the player that we're seeing now would never have been allowed to exist at City for a number of reasons. Again, as good as he's been, he wouldn't play for City on a consistent enough basis. I think it was good for him to get the move, good for City to get like 45 million for an academy player, and good for Chelsea to get a good player. For me, I don't think it's a question of regrets. I think it's a question of it was a good deal for all parties involved. And as I say, best of luck to him. I think he's been very good this season. But again, it's no diss to him. He wouldn't start for us.
That's fair. I don't see him starting either in your fully fit 11.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it is a testament to your academy, kind of what we were talking about earlier with Lewis and old Cheddar Bob. But real quick, also, I forgot to say thank you so much to Paul with the Hotspur Hippie and all the hippie communers. Big ups to all y'all that came on over from Paul's show. Big up Paul every single time. Says share it. Get them to share it. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's multi-level marketing, y'all. All right. It's MLM. But look, my opening question, I had a whole show yesterday because I saw Spurs fans being like, oh no, Haaland's not going to play. Don't worry, he's not going to play. And then I'm looking at these pictures. The motherfucker's airborne. Michael Jordan pose on the shit. He's posting on Twitter how I missed this, him lacing up the boots. It's sunny, it's shining, he's training with the first team. That to me sounds like a guy who's fucking ready to play on Friday. So the question from Ash P that I have starred, thank you so much, Ash P. Let's open it up. Do you think Haaland's going to play? I think yes. I think he's going to play, but do you think he's going to start?
I was going to say, yeah, I think he'll be on the bench. I think I'd be staggered if he was given the start after being out for however many weeks. Is it even over a month? I think it is. There's
like
no
4
way.
weeks almost, yeah.
Yeah.
It was not that long after we played each other, wasn't it? That he ended up going out.
Yeah, exactly. Same with De Bruyne. He's only had 20 minutes since he came back from injury. John Stones is training, but these are players who I want to see on the bench.
20 minutes, De Bruyne, I know we're talking about Haaland, but you say De Bruyne only got 20 minutes. He had more fucking GA than some people's strikers who've been starting for 15 matches, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So I just don't.
Guy,
again, I think that this game's come too soon for them. We have a nice home Premier League game against Burnley next week on the Wednesday. That will be the game when we see Haaland start, De Bruyne start, maybe Stones start. Now, especially because it's the FA Cup, obviously there's going to be natural rotation. Still a strong side, but natural rotation. It's going to be Alvarez up top, in my opinion. It's not going to be De Bruyne in the midfield. Again, these players will be on the bench and they will probably come on for maybe 20 to 30 minutes, but they're not going to start. I'd be very surprised if that was the case because, again, we need these players for our title run-in. We need them fully fit. We can't risk rushing them back from injury in an FA Cup game away against Spurs, where it's going to be a really tricky game. So, again, they'll play. I don't think they'll start, though.
Okay. So, it gives me a little bit more. We better go get this thing in the first half because in the second half is where I'm expecting at least to see Haaland get some minutes. Kevin De Bruyne, apparently all he needs is 20 minutes to get 1 goal, 1 assist. What a jerk. I'm not going to lie. That's leading me into wanting to ask some more questions, but I'm trying to remain on the FA Cup match. Now, when I said things earlier in the stream to you, Nobbins, I said, look, we're not going to sit back. We're not just going to be reluctant to give you the ball.
Yeah.
We're not going to try and catch you on the counter with world-class quality and Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. Again, very, very many things I think that were difference makers in the matches in which we played you. Does Tottenham's play style, regardless of who's out there for you, does that kind of still give you hope that this can be different than in years past? Because the formula was pretty simple before, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But now it's a little bit different. Does that play into your hands better?
Yeah, probably. To be fair, yeah. I will say, as I alluded to before, you did play slightly different at the Etihad. Again, it wasn't totally defensive, but you did definitely play a bit more conservative. So it wouldn't surprise me if you do that a little bit more. But yeah, in that game, I thought that we pressed you really well because, again, you allowed us to press you because you were playing out from the back. So if it's a similar thing, it should reap benefits for us. However, as far as I'm aware, you're actually going to have some centre halves in this game, whereas you didn't have at the Etihad. So it's not going to be easy. Until we score a goal, I can't speak with any degree of confidence. How many games have we played at your stadium, your new stadium?
You said we're going to have some what?
I think we've played 5 times in your.
Five,
yeah, I think it's 5. Yeah, we have missed more penalties at your ground than we've scored goals. We've scored more goals at the Bernabeu, at Camp Nou, at the Allianz Arena. How is it possible to miss more penalties in the ground? How is it possible? Aguero missed in 2019. It shouldn't be allowed. So until that happens, I can't speak with any degree of confidence, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me if this is a 0-0 and we've got to do a replay at the Etihad.
I hope not, because I don't want
the fixture.
Yeah.
If you just let us win, that'd be nice.
Complicated. That's not going to happen, because to me, this has got to be something a lot of Tottenham Hotspur fans are like, we have to go for it. This is our best chance at silverware. Obviously, the league, we're in there, but when you look at the depth and when you look at, at any point, you just pull another Jenga piece and the tower starts waving in the wind. Mm-hmm. So from a Spurs perspective, I definitely say this is our best chance at silverware. If we can get this win over City, then likely it's between us and Liverpool to go out and grab the FA Cup, in my opinion. So again, nothing is handed over, nothing is easy. So I've predicted those things, what I mentioned, the aforementioned reasons why I believe you have some hope, or reasons why I think that you will get your first goal at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I've said before on record, Ange Postecoglou is here to break all hoodoos, voodoos, myths, and heebie-jeebies, whatever we got. He's here to break them all, for good or for worse. And one of those things that's going to be broken is Manchester City not scoring at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Like, I just have adamantly felt that way literally since the first 3 matches, 4 or 5 matches. Like, yeah, this is great, and we're going to do things that we're not supposed to. And we, third kit curse, we broke that. The noon kickoff, we broke that. Playing away at a recently promoted in our third kit at noon. All these fucking random stats that Spurs fans pull out and say, we haven't won because of this, this, and this. It was raining or whatever. We've broken all that. And it just naturally lends me to believe that City are going to score when they come here. And it's not just because of... You're going to score, but I don't think it's going to be I don't think you're going to get the W. I hope that my boy Brennan Johnson, he has limited his comments on Instagram because everyone's very mad at him for being a frustrating winger. But when I present to you a front three of Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, and Timo Werner, does that say to you you can get got at by them?
Oh no, Son's at the Asian Cup, isn't he?
He's gone, baby. He ain't no Son. He's gone. Basuma's gone. Sarr is gone. That's a huge component here as to why I'm like, look, the reason when I say the reasons why we always beat y'all, or at least got the result, was because we had Harry Kane and Heung-min Son on the counter. We have neither of those, nor do I expect us to be pushing on the... we probably will find some joys on the counter. We've scored goals on the counter for sure, but we're not going to be relying on the counter. We can't rely on 2 people who aren't going to be here. One is in Schnitzelville. The other one is in Asia playing for his national team. And then we're missing a couple African players as well to the AFCON. And
of course. Yeah,
James Maddison is a maybe,
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that bad, to be fair, for Spurs. Yeah, well, with that in mind, I mean, yeah, we should win. We should win, to be honest. And it's not superstition, maybe. It's just bogey teams are a thing, though. Not even recently, historically, Spurs have been City's bogey team. Like even like just going back decades. Like my family still going about what was it, the 1983 FA Cup final? Where there was a replay and Spurs absolutely battered us. It's been going on for decades, since like the 60s. So there is definitely something in it. It's like Spurs just always seem to, as I say, that bogey teams are a thing. But
come on,
we won't have a better chance to beat Spurs, I guess, because obviously there's no Kane. As you've just reminded me, there is no Son. All the other, all the AFCON players. Maddison probably not being fit. I know that City don't have some of their better players fit. But yeah, if we are going to win, this is the time to do it, clearly.
So you mentioned earlier a little bit, last time we met, and we still got the point away from home, Brazil's number 2, captain of Wales, etc., as our center halves. Now, if I show you a series of pictures, would this more or less maybe make you waver in the confidence that you can get a result? Here's one. I did briefly show you this, but this one may help waver you a little. When you see these photos, is there a certain fear that arises? Do you think that this could be a match where we could see some of this? Yoga poses from Pep Guardiola, maybe some Erling Haaland really upset, screaming. Do you think this is a match where we could get some more lovely photos like this to add to the Rolodex? I mean, there was the other year, I remember when Harry Kane scored the winner and the fourth official was hugging Pep Guardiola, gave him a nice warm embrace because he felt bad that we scored there at the death, and that they couldn't rule it off, the cheeky little bastards. But when I show those photos of Romero and Van de Ven, I didn't show any photos of Van de Ven because, I just don't have any lovely photos. Like I don't have any of Van de Ven like this. This is fresh from this summer. Cuti Romero on vacation. But I have hope that whoever's out there is going to get to meet Christian Romero very, very soon.
Well, hopefully it'll be last time we played at Spurs, because I think, didn't he get sent off last time? Unless I'm mistaken. I'm not really scared of Romero. I'm scared of Van de Ven.
He did. He got 2 yellows. He got 2 yellows.
I prefer Van de Ven, to be honest. I think he's a fantastic defender. I'm more scared of him, to be honest.
So how can he come on over from the Bundesliga and look all right, but Josko Vardiol can't?
Wait, what?
I said, how come Van de Ven can come from the Bundesliga in his first season and look halfway decent? He had 3 training sessions before we started him.
Right.
And Josko Vardiol came in and
what?
Looks
and
like
what?
Maybe it looks like the step up was a little strenuous on the quadriceps.
Hello? What Yoshko have you been watching?
I'm trying to run an agenda here.
Yeah,
because obviously
I
I've had the best left back in the league. So that's my man right there.
Respect Yoshko, man. Respect Yoshko.
No, again, this was a guy that I was twerking for the better part of 8 months. Like, imagine if we got Vardiol and we need a left-sided center back. What a dream that would be to sign Josko. And I was like, okay, what about a backup plan? Mickey Van de Ven, a year ago, I was actually on this very channel saying we should go get Mickey Van de Ven. He's a left-sided center back. He's got a lot of pace, young, tall. He gave me a lot of reasons, like a cheap option if we can't get Vardiol, let's go get this kid. And we ended up getting him. So if I could use any part of any propaganda to say that he's better,
I appreciate that.
I'll do it, because honestly, watching Van de Ven and Romero, I can only imagine what Vicario thinks.
You must have had a great view of that.
Wow, unbelievable from the back. Yeah.
Unbelievable from the back indeed, I would say as well. But look, I know it's we're nearing midnight for you. The show might go on a little bit longer, but if you have to drop out at any point, I totally understand. Don't worry. You don't have to hit a private chat and say a cheeky goodbye. I will definitely give you the time to say goodbye. So at any point, let me know, and that way I can just rush my questions. So,
sure.
But I want to ask you, the battle of the midfield. Who do you think is going to be starting in that midfield for you on the day? Because I can tell you who it's going to be for me, and I'm going to say tit for tat. You probably got more tomatoes to throw, let's say. But who do you think is going to be in the midfield for City on Friday?
Yeah. So I think that our wingers are now fit. So I don't think Foden will have to play out wide. So I'm assuming that, because we play a box 4 with the ball, so it's going to be Rodri. Next to him, I would assume Kovacic. I don't think Stones or Lewis will be coming on and inverting. I think it'll be a more traditional setup there. Foden as well, and maybe Bernardo Silva, but he might play more. He might actually play on the right.
Right wing, kind of.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think again, because it's FA Cup. Maybe Oscar Bob, actually. To be fair, I think that I think Bob will definitely get a start. Yeah, I think that'll be in the midfield then. I think it'll be Bob, Foden, Rodri, and Kovacic, which is a very young offensive side, especially, and more experience at the back. But again, so it's not too weak. It's not overly strong either. Obviously, as I said, I don't think De Bruyne will be starting. Bob will start, but I also think that Bernardo will go on the right. Probably Grealish or Doku on the left. So the only place for Bob is in the middle. So that's what I think then. Rodri, Kovacic, Bob, Foden.
So who's your striker?
Alvarez.
Okay. Yeah, I guess because Alvarez kind of been playing that 10 role for a while there before Haaland went out, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. When Haaland played, exactly, yeah. But I don't think Haaland's going to start. So I think that would make the most sense, I think. Yeah.
So your back line, just to round out your 11, we've got Ederson in goal. Who's your back 4?
No, that wouldn't work, would it? No. Okay, all right, I'll have to change my midfield. Because that only works if Walker plays right wing. This is the issue with City. You've got to. It's not as simple as just back 4, midfield 3, etc.
And also, yeah, I was going to say, sometimes what they put out there as a graphic is not always reflective of what happens after the first ball.
Okay, I've changed my mind. Kovacic won't play. Lewis will play. Lewis will invert from right back. That's what's going to happen. So it will be, Lewis playing in the midfield. So the back three with the ball, back four without the ball. Lewis right back. And we're limited on centre backs because Akanji's out and Stones is out. So it's going to have to be Diaz, Ake, and Gvardiol. That's got to be our back line just due to numbers. Probably not going to be the case because I've realised I've not played Walker and he's almost definitely going to start. But that's what
I just remembered. I did see Brennan Johnson run around Josko Gvardiol one time when we played you. I think it was. Are you concerned that Brennan Johnson, the guy that... Well, real quick, what's your perception of Brennan Johnson from an outside perspective? Not just on the FA Cup, but he's really divided Spurs fan base as well. A lot of rivals saying he's washed, he's shit. I've heard Arsenal fans, Arsenal fans are always going to tell us he's washed and he's shit, but there's not just Arsenal fans. There's a lot of Spurs fans that are saying this guy is not going to be an effective winger. They're starting to question Ange in the sense because Ange came out and said this was his number one target, Brennan Johnson. What's your take on Brennan Johnson thus far? 22-year-old child, I may add. You may look younger than him, but I know for a fact you are older. I know that much from deductive reasoning. But what's your opinion on Brennan Johnson, at least thus far, making the step up from Forest to Spurs?
I think he's been fine. I thought the signing was weird. I thought there was another Forest forward that Spurs should have signed. I thought they should have gone for Taiwo because I thought they needed a proper 9. And for me, Iwanyi's like one of the best 9s in the league, to be honest.
So he got injured in that, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a shame, but at that time he was flying and doing really good. I think Johnson is a good player. I don't know if he raises the ceiling of Spurs to the point of them being this unbelievable side. I think that's definitely a position you could improve upon, but is definitely a valuable player to have in your squad at this stage where Spurs are at in their evolution. Good player. Seems to be able to play on both wings as well. I think he played on both wings in the City game, for example. He popped up on the right and left. There you go.
And he got the equalising cross.
Yes, well, as we discussed before, I talked about what Walker. Why didn't Walker just? He didn't bother closing Johnson. Johnson put in a very good ball. I think he's one of those signings where it's not a sexy signing, and he's not going to, as I say, move the needle massively for Spurs. But that's not to say he's a bad player. That's not to say it's a bad signing. And I think he's done decent, to be honest. Emerson Royal better than Rico Lewis. Whoa, respect Rico. Respect the Mancunian Lam. The Radcliffe Lam.
I would say respect Brazil's number 2. Calf who is what I'm saying. But that's neither here nor there. Look, for me, Brennan Johnson, I still feel like, for my personal opinion, the door is still open for him to wow me and to really reel me in. But he's still gotten some GA, which, hey, as a winger, that's what we're looking for. But when I do like a watch along and when I'm watching the match specifically, I get very frustrated. But I think that's one of those things as a young winger you can iron out through experience, through putting your arm around and really giving him some confidence. It's bad decision making. It's not lack of physical ability or understanding of when to get in these spaces. I think against Burnley in the first 35 minutes, he had 10 touches in the opponent's box. He's clearly getting into the right fucking spot. It's just when you turn left, do you turn right? Do you put it on your right foot, your left foot? Do you play your man in? There's been a bunch of times where Sonny's made a beautiful run in the box and he's just, I'm shooting it. And it's like he makes up his mind and he just goes. And it's like, I'm doing what I made my mind up to do. And that is the stuff where I get frustrated watching him. But from an overall perspective, he's got a lot of things that I do like, which is that I like in a winger. The ability to run in behind, the pace to run in behind, and the ability to sometimes put in a good ball. I'd say about half the time, it's a very good cross. Half the time, who the fuck were you sending that to? So I can sense the frustration. I can get and understand why Spurs fans are frustrated with him. But a lot of people have been like abusing this kid online because he's very frustrating sometimes. And I think that's a little.
You'll get that with young wingers though. Like it was a similar thing with. I'm not saying he's good as Sterling, but when City signed Sterling, and he still is a frustrating player, but So many City fans didn't like him for that reason, because he was so frustrating. But that will just come with time and experience. As you say, he's 22. It's a big step up to go from Forest to Spurs. Yeah, just be patient. And I've got no doubts, whether he can be like an elite player is another question, but there's no reason why he can't be a very good player for Spurs, 100%.
Yeah. Well, with that said, is there anything about Spurs, a player, or maybe just the way that we play? Is there anywhere in this match on Friday that you're like, this, not outside of the, historical factors we've discussed previously, but is there anything about this squad specific, like player, you're like, we need to keep an eye on this guy, or this is going to be someone who's going to hurt us down? Because I know from our side, that right-hand side, when Pedro Porro's pushing up and inverting, that's where everyone finds their joy. I told all Manchester United fans, I said, look, whoever you want to excel, play him on the left. If it's Garnacho, if it's Rashford, whoever it is, they're going to have glory, because that's where we seem to be the most open. Destiny Ugodi is so good defensively getting back now. I just think in these last 8 matches he's played, he has been so good at getting back defensively. Now, I don't know if that's just an adjustment from Postecoglou saying, look, it's fucking Davies and Emerson Royale, so Destiny, I need you to help us defensively when we don't have the ball, or if it's just he's growing into the league. I don't know. We'll find out, and time will answer that. But
yeah,
the right-hand side, not a lot of wingers have found joy. In fact, the only goal that has been scored from that side was ruled off. Shout out to PGOML every single time. But that's the only fucking one. No one scores from that side. You don't build from that. It's Destiny's. That is Destiny Udogi's area. You're not allowed to walk freely. Shout out Callum Wilson every single. Oh wait, that's Vicario. My bad. I thought that was Udogi. My bad.
I just might have to wrap it up shortly if that's all right. Just because I think my girlfriend's going to get a bit bored of me talking. So because our walls are very thin. You're absolutely right, and just going back to the City game. We purposefully positioned ourselves to create 1v1s on your right side. Like we played Doku that day, and the whole strategy was press Spurs' left, win the ball on Spurs' left, switch it immediately to our left, Spurs' right, and Doku had a 1v1 every single time, basically. Doku was a bit wasteful, to be honest, but the idea was there, clearly. So I think you're absolutely spot on. That was a clear intent by City to, as I say, press Spurs' left, move it over to Spurs' right, and attack therein, get Doku in 1v1s, because that's where he's so good. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw Doku start. I would personally like to see Grealish start, because he does really good running into spaces. As you alluded to, Porro leaves a lot of space. So I think that could potentially be like a big matchup for City and Spurs in this game. Can you keep whoever is our left winger, if it's Doku and his explosive pace and dribbling, or whether it's Grealish and his brilliant ability to, a drive with the ball through the centre. That's going to be like one of the bigger matchups of the game.
Personally, I'm more concerned about Jeremy Doku. I followed him last year. I didn't watch the French league, so don't get it twisted. I'm not sitting here saying I watch Uber Eats One league,
sure,
because it's not even broadcasted in America. But I do. I have SofaScore on my phone, so it updates me like so and so starting. Here's his first half. Here I can get these updates, and he was one of those wingers. I would love to have a winger like that on our pit. A guy who loves the ball at his feet, willing to take a man on. A lot of signs that I'm seeing from Antonio Nusa in the limited games I've watched. This new winger that we're linked with, he'll put the ball at his feet, drive at an opponent, cut it in, and still drive. And that ability from a winger I appreciate. But you do got to go, so I'm going to ask you before you go.
Sure.
Give me your final score prediction. The show's not going to end, folks. I'll keep going. I do have some tweets and stuff I do want to talk about, so we'll go a little bit longer after the show. But while we have Nobbins, my friend, tell me goal scorer and who's scoring these goals.
So you're assuming I'm not going to predict a 0-0?
You can, but that's boring. Who likes that? Even if you're
point.
Right, who cares? You're not going to be like, I was right, a 0-0. Ha-ha.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I'm a bit more confident because I totally forgot Son obviously couldn't play. I also forgot about all your other AFCON absentees. So I'm actually a little bit more confident now.
Yeah, Sarsar Toure is not going to be there, so you're lucky.
Yeah, it's going to. I think it's going to be a really good game from an entertainment perspective. These are two sides who want to attack and want to go at each other. It's a cup game as well, so it's like there's it's not like a league game where it's a bit more nervy. I think that from that perspective, there's maybe less on the line. So I'm hoping for an open game. I'm going to predict a City win. Maybe. I'm going to predict a City win. I don't want to. If it was a league game, I'd predict a draw, but I don't want to. I don't want to predict having to do a replay. So I'm not about that. I'm going to be bold and say that we actually end up scoring 2 goals. So the curse gets broken once, and then we immediately score again. But we're not going to keep a clean sheet because City don't know how to do that this season. It's going to be a very entertaining 2-1 to Man City. Who's going to score for Spurs? I think Johnson, we're just chatting about him. I think he's going to score. He's actually going to score first as well. He's going to score in the first half. First half result is going to be to Spurs, 1-0. Second half, we'll score 1 goal before the 70th minute. It will be, who's going to score that? I will say Foden will get an assist. And let's say Oscar Bob gets the goal. And then around the 75th minute, De Bruyne is going to come on. And Haaland's going to come on. And Haaland is going to... It's going to be a set piece, actually. It's going to be a corner. And Haaland is going to... De Bruyne takes the corner. Haaland heads it out, sort of like, to the edge of the box. And Rodri's going to score it just on the edge of the box. That's what I'm going to say.
Ooh, Rodri the bastard. So you're saying...
and a lovely finish.
Reminiscent of that... almost reminiscent of his UCL final goal. That's what we're going with? Wow.
Good vibes only.
Yeah, hey, I like your prediction for you,
Sure.
because I like you, and I'm like, hey, I'm glad that you have a prediction that makes you smile. I like that. My prediction, however, I do think you will score 2 goals. I do, but you're not going to win that. It's going to be one of them. I think.
Wow.
No sun, no problem. Pep Guardiola, the lights will be too bright. The atmosphere, the pressure is going to be like a melting pot in there. I think the crowd's going to be the 12th man, but I'm not going to give my score predict. I'll put it in the private chat for you, but I'm gonna save it for. You know what? Fuck it.
But you think you're going to win?
3-2.
I was going to say, think you're going to win? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we score. I think we get an own goal. I think something dumb happens and we get a lucky little own goal, or Ederson messes up. For some reason, when Ederson could look good all season, but he plays us, and all of a sudden it's like he plays different. But maybe he won't because Sonny won't be there. Maybe that's why he plays different.
To be fair, I don't think Ederson will play. I think Ortega will play.
Oh,
because it's a cup. Or Ederson doesn't play the cups.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be out Stefan Ortega.
What do you think of Ortega? I don't know enough about him.
He's
me,
good.
fuck him. Fuck him, and we're going to score. That's what I think. But what do you think of Ortega?
He's one of the best backups in the league, to be fair. He is good enough to start for most Premier League sides. He's too good to be a backup, to be honest. I think he wants to leave. But no, he's obviously not as good as Ederson, but he's not a bad keeper by any means.
I'm going to say he's dog shit. I've watched him plenty. Not good. Ortega,
Fez.
That's the brand of a cheese here in America. And it's not a very good cheese. We go Velveeta, all right? We don't do that Ortega brand. But Nobbins, man, thank you so much for joining the show. Again, I really appreciate it. Y'all can find him at L Nobbins on YouTube, at L Nobbins on Twitter. It is in the link of this video. It is in the description of this video. But, man, thank you so much for joining. Hopefully I get another excuse to bring you on the channel at some point. We will play each other again this year, so hopefully we can get to talk to you again. But
we will. Man,
anything that you want to, any final words or anything you want to plug before you get on? I know you mentioned that series, that your new series that's coming out, analyzing matches. I'm looking forward to the analyzation of how Pep Guardiola gets outdone by the young grasshopper. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, if you want to know my thoughts on like a detailed post-match analysis, there will be one of the Spurs City games on the Friday, so that'll probably come out on the Saturday. So if you like, you can check my channel out. But yeah, thank you guys in the chat for being very nice and welcoming. And yeah, just thank you for having me on.
I appreciate it, my friend. You have a great rest of your day, and thank your lady as well for allowing you to spend this time with me, because I know People don't think about this, but as content creators, we do take a lot of times out of our personal life to do things. You've just spent an hour 37 and 15 minutes before that waiting on me to do the damn show. So look, you've given me about 2 hours of your time, and that means a lot. That shit means something to me, man. And I'm going to
Yeah,
play
of
the clip,
course.
but I'm going to let you go. So thank you so much, Nobbins. Have a great rest of your evening. And as always, you can find him at L Nobbins. But I do have some things. He going to find you. And you know what? I'm going to play you out with a lovely video. So
God's
take
sake.
care, my friend. And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, guys. See you, Jacob. Thanks for having me on, man.
Take care, man. Have a good night. What a lovely guy. Everyone dubs in the chat for Nobbins. I really appreciated that conversation. I like to get up here and waffle a lot, but I also do like to talk a lot of ball. But man, wow. What good stuff. He says they're going to win. I don't think so. But look, I do got some tweets and stuff that I do want to talk about. Obviously, I mentioned one of the things that I did star, but I don't know why I starred this. I guess because it's Giovanni Reina, and he's shout out U.S. men's national team. But apparently, Nottingham Forest are in negotiations for Carlos Borges from Ajax on loan and Gio Reyna from Dortmund. That's quite interesting. There was a little bit on the Antonio Nusa front that we can run through real quick. So Fabrizio just can't stop talking about us on these live streams that he does. But he was on Give Me Sport yet again, talking about Tottenham Hotspur because, yes, we do generate a lot of clicks. Says Tottenham really want Antonio Nusa because they believe, that he is going to be a special player. He is a special talent in a position where Tottenham needs someone for the present and the future. So that is why they are pushing. They also know that there are other clubs interested in Antonio Nusa, especially in England. So they want to be fast and close the deal as soon as possible. Now, there was also reports that came out. Newcastle is trying to hijack this deal from us. Out from under our nose, they want to take our target, which lends me to believe, why are we taking so dang long? Maybe we should, hurry it on up. Because there was another name that we were linked with as well. The guy from Antwerp, Arthur Vermeeren. Only reason I started this was obviously because we were linked with him. We talked about it a few days ago. A lot of Spurs content creators have been talking about Arthur Vermeeren. But guess what? He's off the market. He's off to Atletico Madrid. They've reached an agreement for 27 million euros. It is up to the player who is interested in joining. He will fly to Madrid. So that's about done as far as I could tell, as far as the eyes can see. I think that's all wrapped up in regards to Vermeeren. But there is another name, and you know that when there's so many days in between the Tottenham Hotspur matches, there's going to be all kinds of names that we're linked with. But I saw this as well. Tottenham Hotspur want to add a new center back to their squad this month, despite signing Raduski Draguski. Koki Machida is the target, with Royal Union St. Galissi demanding 10 to 15 million euros to sell him. Now, I don't know what kind of source this is, 7 Sir 7, but look, I don't really care. Who is this guy? I don't know, but this tells me Tottenham are still shopping around for a potential new center back, which I've seen some Spurs fans saying, oh, we don't need to. We don't need to do that, but maybe we do. Maybe we need a right backup who can also play center back, much like an Emerson Royale, and that's maybe who we're looking to replace. That's what I would see this kind of move being, this move from to get a Koki Machida from this French team. I believe it's French, Saint Gillespie. Pretty cheap, and we would still have some money left over if we did accept that bid from Saudi Arabia for Emerson Royale, but we did not. And apparently they offered again, but we said no again. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, here's that news that's Newcastle are discussing hijacking the Tottenham deal for Antonio Nusa. Not really great news. Would really hate to see this deal fall through at this point because I've kind of getting my hopes up. And I know people are going to say, oh, Jacob, why would you do that? I know Derek Smith is here, and he's one of the kind that say, I don't believe it until he's holding the shirt. But damn it, I want it. I want this signing. I don't care if we do the loan deal. If that's what gets it over the line, then I'm good with that. What's going on here? If man's tired, let me know. Hey. Look, Antonio Nusa, to me, how many meetings do we have to have? I mean, with Jagusin, we had about 3. And then we had another 3 from... Was that a raid? Wow. Oh, well, that messes up my redirect, but big up Footy Judge Mo with the raid. Hey, dang it. I was redirecting to him. I was redirecting to Mo, and my show went long. Damn it. I'm sorry about that, Mo. Oh, geez. Let me text Mo real quick. We had talked about I was going to redirect to him, but I guess he ended before me, and now he redirected to me. Let me. Sorry about that, Mo. I didn't mean to go this long, but big up everybody who did come on over from the Mo raid. Big up. I did have Nobbins on the channel earlier, so if you're interested in hearing his perspective and maybe what he thinks about the preview for Manchester City, Nobbins was here. He gave us quite a great hour and a half of his time, to be completely honest. So, big up Nobbins for that. But he did leave, and we're just running through some of the news. So I do appreciate everyone who did come on over. Look, partake in the poll. It is absolutely free. I would also say, why not say hello in the chat? Maybe hit a like, maybe subscribe if you're new. All those things are optional. You don't have to do anything. But look, I see 155 votes. The question is, who wins on Friday? 60% says Tottenham Hotspur are going to win. And I like that. Y'all talking to me nicely indeed. 22% says Manchester City. 10% with a draw and a replay. And 9% says no clue, but I think there's going to be a lot of goals. So isn't that quite nice? But big up everybody coming on over from the raid over there. Look, I didn't mean to go this long, but dang. Big up Footy Judge Mo. He would be a very good player for Spurs, says Reece James Kingdom. I'm assuming this is a Chelsea fan, and he's giving a little props. Antonio Nusa could be a good player for us. I think he would be. Obviously, we wouldn't get his services until after the summer, but hey, it's neither here nor there. Big up David Shear. I do appreciate you. This has got to go hooroo to the wonderful Spurs fans in the chat. See you, Jacob. Big up David Shear. Appreciate all the support, my friend. Hey, Becky, good to see you in the chat. Imagine Jota and Son in your team with Matters. Wouldn't that be very nice to see? I only follow Spurs channel. I never go to other club fan channel. It's always good to branch out. I like to always go observe fan channels of different clubs, the clubs that we're going to play. I like to go and see what their fans are saying, see what they're thinking, because then it gives me a little bit more of a perspective as well as far as how they feel towards their fans. But big up Ren, says City will be hard to beat. Ren, I was here talking with Nobbins about it for quite a while, and there's about 5 really quick things that I would say why I think City's going to be hard to beat and why it's not going to be such a simple fixture like it's been in the past. And no Harry Kane, no Son, no counter-attacking football, and we're not going to allow them to have the ball as much as we have in the past. We're not just going to sit back and absorb pressure. That's about 5 things I can think of. It's going to be an absolute, shall I say, nail-biter. Maybe that works. Big up Sava with Football Heritage TV, says, lovely hat, Jacob. Thank you so much. It keeps my ears nice and warm. Thank you so much. I like a nice, lovely hat. Isn't that nice? Philip, you don't really think Spurs will win against City, do you, Jacob? I do. And here's why. Because I'm a Spurs fan. And honestly, historical things do factor into the result as far as, like, you know, Nobbins was alluding to the fact that he feels we've been their bogey team since even before the stadium opened. To me, the reason why we've gotten these results inside that stadium is purely based on the style and the players that we had, in my opinion. And when I think of a front three of Timo Werner, Richarlison, and Brendan Johnson, I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily filled with positive vibes that they're going to go ahead and bag us a bunch of goals. But I know they're going to get into the positions to get those goals. Manchester City does have a hard time keeping a clean sheet, so there will be the opportunity to get the goals. Now, if we grab them or not is another story, but I have hope. Got to have some hope, right? I have a little bit of faith. Got to sprinkle some faith in there that we can get those goals. But I know for a fact we will get into those positions because we do against everybody. And on the same breath, they do get into those positions as well against us. It doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if it's Luton, Palace, Wolves, Manchester United, both times we played them. Brentford, first week. Everybody gets chances in front of the goal. That's just the nature of the beast. It's just a matter of if they do take their chances. And Erling Haaland was unable to bag any of his chances before. So, honestly, I kind of like that. You know what? And if the players play how I feel, how a lot of Spurs fans feel, that we could get through the line, you know, because that shit does mean something to me.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.
Manchester City fan here says, Haaland to pin the back line way back and KDB to cut through. So Nobbins was here earlier saying that he doesn't think that they're going to start. He believes in the Premier League match that y'all have versus Burnley coming up, that will be when them two start, and John Stones throwing the third name in there. He says he expects Erling Haaland, Kay De Bruyne to come in around the 70th minute and then to do what you're saying. And I hope he's wrong, because you know who we got? A kuti, can't you see? And if you missed it yesterday, I did have a clip. So this is an exclusive. I showed it to only a select few people yesterday. You may have missed it. So let me play you a little clip. This is apparently what Cuti Romero sent to Erling Haaland this week whenever they found out they're going to be playing against each other.
Oh, I won't let you go.
Isn't that sweet? He's not going to let him go. Hold him real tight. Keep him really close. And let's see if we can cause some fits. Look, he was very frustrated the last time we played, and it led to some really great photos and pictures that have, like this one with Erling Haaland, very upset. I love things like this. And, we get from time to time different instances where we've really frustrated Man City. If we can get a yoga pose out of Pep Guardiola tomorrow, we cooking with hot grease, baby. But look, Ren's here. She says she did a tarot card reading, positive answers, symbolizing manifestation. We manifested with the man bun. Let's do it again. We did manifest Dragusin in the side with that man bun. That is attributed to everyone, not just me, so don't get it twisted. That's all of us working real hard together. But look, y'all, I'm going to run through the rest of these things that I've got starred that I do want to talk about. But I'm not even sharing the right screen here. There's no real time to talk about this, but lovely interview done by Tottenham Hotspur regarding Destiny Udogie. They call it like talking and walking or something. Best left back in the league. Happy you go to year. So thankful this guy's my left back. He is an absolute superstar. This guy, there's no bad photos of him. I haven't seen one bad video of him. This guy is eclectic. He is iconic. And I'm thankful he is my left back, the best left back in the league. And then maybe this time next year we'll be saying best left back in the world. Maybe. We'll find out. But look, I did have this starred because there was some parts that I wanted to talk about in regards to it. But definitely go check it out. Spurs Official tweeted it. It's on their YouTube. Spurs Play, all that fun stuff. But what a great young man we have on our hands. Absolutely love that kid. Also saw here, let me make this bigger so y'all can see. Midfielder Tanguy Ndombele considering a return to France in an attempt to rediscover his form. And that's per Footy Mercato, which is a French outlet that always do that kind of stuff. Just talk about stuff when we don't really need to. There it again, the Nottingham Forest going for Giovanni Reina. And that post has been deleted, apparently. This is the last thing I really want to talk about today. So those of you still in the chat, I see 150 people. Big up to you across all three platforms. Make sure y'all are hitting a like, subscribe, follow, whatever the hell you want to do. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but go ahead and do what you do, but watch my shoes. The question here says, if everyone's fully fit, who's our midfield three? Now, there's James Maddison, of course, Bentancur, Bissouma and Papamata Sarr. Now, a lot of discussion. Obviously, James Madison, Bentancur, they haven't played together at all. We might see that this weekend. That could be possible. James Madison looks to be back. We might find out. But real quick, everybody in the chat, I want to know, who are you picking? Who, if everybody's fit, who's your midfield three? And I think it's an interesting question to ask because a lot of people have been pretty upset with Bissouma and the drop-off that he had. But let's remember those first 10 matches. Yves Bissouma was an absolute baller. I mean, he made it real easy to bang my chest about Spurs. But then he kind of fell off a little bit. It was like he got that first red, and then really since Luton, Bissouma hasn't been himself. So then he goes to AFCON, plays 53 minutes with malaria. He's suffered with long COVID. He's had a lot of setbacks, but assuming he's fully fit, with a fully fit Sarr, Bentancur, Madison, what is our midfield three? I see some answers rolling in. Mark Changur says Benny, Matters, and Sarr as his preferred three. Bissouma, Bentancur, and Madison, says Theodorus. Drula's got Madison, Bentancur, and Sarr. David Calvinia, Benny, Matty, Busy. So basically, everyone's got Madison, and I think that's a shoehorn. He's so creative. He's so beautiful to watch on the ball. The magician, the ballerina in the box, whatever you want to call him. I think Madison makes everybody's, yeah. Ash P says Benny, Sarr, and Matters. I've been seeing a lot of Benny, Sarr, Matters. And it's interesting, but when we had Madison, Sarr, Bissouma, we were cooking. But now we have, obviously Bentancur wasn't ready to play then, but... Oh, Derek Smith says, where's Skip, Højbjerg, and Lo Celso? Well, Lo Celso's been sent off to an undisclosed location. We don't know where Lo Celso is. He's been sent off to a random screening facility. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with him. I remember Ange said that in the press conference. We sent him off to some facility. We need to figure out what the hell's going on with him. Bob Down Under. Big up, Bob. Matters, Bissouma, and Bentancur. So Sarr's missing out. So either Sarr or Sarr or Bissouma seems to be the guys that usually are missing out. Everyone's got Bentancur. Everyone's got Madison. Bissouma, yeah, everyone. Interesting. I think Ange might prefer to have the legs of Sarr in there. I agree. And he's mentioned that Sarr does all three different things he looks for in a midfielder, which is play that 6, box to box 8, and try to be a creative 10. But it was interesting because when we had no 10, he used Oliver Skip in those forward positions. Look, I don't know what's going to happen when we have it, but it's better to have all your weapons sharp than none of them at all. Good and Great says Madison, Bentancur, and Sarr. Bissouma needs to perform well before he starts ahead of anyone. Interesting. That's very interesting. Mark Changur says, we have depth like Liverpool. If we have injuries in the midfield, Kulu, Lo Celso, and Busy can play as well as Skip. That's another name to even throw in there. Kulusevski. I mean, I don't really see him as a winger anymore. Could it be Madison, Kulusevski, and Bentancur? Maybe. Maybe that's what we do tomorrow. That's actually kind of, or not tomorrow, Friday. Damn, that's actually kind of a cold midfield if you think about it. Kulusevski, Madison, and Bentancur. Ooh, that could be nice. Then Bentancur wouldn't have to be the creative guy. You could just sit there and drop into those positions and work that pivot. Might be something nice. Might be. Kulu's not a winger. Yeah, that's kind of why I want to throw him in there to the midfield conversation as well. I think it's at least a conversation that needs to be had. But look, another name that has come out of the woodwork, and by woodwork I mean slow news week in Tottenham Hotspurville, says that we are ready to compete with Milan, Munich, and other Premier League clubs to sign this guy from Bologna, Joshua Zirkzee, which no, that is not the fucking main villain from the movie 300. It's Joshua Zirkzee, a striker who apparently has a 40 million euro release clause in his contract. And it's a striker that apparently we've been linked with. And this isn't the only source. Tutu Mercato. I've seen quite a few others. as well. Big up Igor in the house. It's a nice dilemma to have on who would be the starting midfield three when all of them are ballers. It absolutely is a good problem to have. But I would hopefully that competition makes everyone better. That's all we could hope for. But yeah, Joshua Zirkzee, the main villain from 300. He ain't him. He's just a young guy striker for Bologna. I don't watch Bologna, so I ain't gonna bullshit you or be full of baloney when I talk about Bologna. But yeah, I don't know who he is. Never watched him. But apparently he's quite good. The Twitter tacticos would have you thinking that he's pretty damn good. See, here he is again. Another source. Ben Jacobs on the Caught Offside podcast says Tottenham could be a club to watch for Bologna striker Joshua Zirkzee. So that's two different sources linking us with the same guy. Lends me to believe there's a little bit of validity there because they're not all using the same quotes. I starred this as well, just a fun little moment between Pedro Porro and James Maddison. But the main talking point that came out of this was people saying, oh, Maddison doesn't look ready. He's still, if you can see in this video, which you can if I do, you can when I do that. You can't. But in this video of Pedro Porro, you can see that James Maddison still has a thing on his ankle. But, you know, that could just be precautionary, rehabilitative as far as training, and like they do a lot of blood flow things and that kind of stuff. So who knows? But yeah, that's gonna do it, y'all. The show is coming to a close. Joshua Zirkzee is the name I want to throw out there. I'll probably do some kind of amateur scouting report on him in the coming days. If I get bored enough and there's nothing to talk about, we'll do that. Give a little amateur scouting report on Joshua Zirkzee. But this is almost at 2 hours, so I want to go ahead and wrap it up nicely. But look, before I do that, let me check in with the votes and check in with the likes, and let's see how we're doing. Is it going to be fireworks and celebration? Oh, well, that's a like button. Is it going to be balloons and confetti? Like, yay, we did it as far as the likes and such. Or is it going to be the raindrops? It might be the raindrops. Let's find out. 171 votes in the poll. 58% of 171 say that we are going to be the victors on the day. And I kind of like that. That's very nice. I see 118 likes. So big up. We got over 100 likes. That's very nice. Thank you, everyone who helped make that happen. If those of you on playback, we can get this over 150, that'd be absolutely stellar. And we'll find out from the lovely people who are watching on playback. But if you are watching on playback and you're almost 2 hours in, big up yourself right now. I hope you're having a great day, evening, morning, whatever it may be. But I'm going to end the poll right there. And guess what? If we can predict the future, then that means Tottenham Hotspur are going to be victorious on Friday. Big up, Ryan G. How you doing? Big up. Big up, Bob Down Under. Thank you so much. Look, it's been a fun one. I love doing previews when I can get a really good content creator from another channel on, a really good person from another channel on. I like it because I get to rack their brain a little bit. So I hope y'all want to go and show some support to Nobbins. His title, fuck, I keep messing it up. His YouTube channel is in the title. And we are officially over 2 hours. So 2 hours of free content. You can hit a like, surely, but don't call me Shirley. And hopefully you've had a good time. I would say mostly I hope you've had a good time. Now, if you hit the like or not, hopefully doesn't reflect that. But look, y'all, it is Tuesday. We do have Wednesday, Thursday, and then we get some Tottenham Hotspur. So let's try and cope. Let's try and make it through. And again, let's thank Nobbins for stopping in and giving us a little bit of a show. Big up Nobbins and big up everybody in the chat. I see you. So thank you so much to everyone who did like the video. That's going to do it. I'm not going to waffle on much longer. Let me see if there's someone else who's live that I can say. I was going to, like I said, I was supposed to be sending to Footy Judge Mo, and I failed at doing so. But I see Sarcasm City is still live, so let me set up that redirect. Hang on. Bear with me 1 second. And those of you looking for some more content, I'm sending you to a fantastic place, which is, where is it? Where is it? Sarcasm City. There? They started 20 minutes ago. So they will not be ending as soon as I send you there, thankfully. So when you get on over there, say Jacob Raid, USA Raid, either or, let him know that I sent you. That way he knows that we keep it 100 over here. But I want to say special shout out to everybody who did tune in and did have a good time there talking with Nobbins. And again, you can find his channel in the link, the description, all that shit. You can find it. Yes, Nobbin has some good moves, and what a lad. He's a fun guy, very fun guy. So very glad for him to make his debut on the channel. But look, y'all, that's going to do it for episode number 140 of the Immaculate series, also known as the Untitled series here on United Spurs of America. Tomorrow, I may be back at an earlier time, like very early. So probably won't have a lot of y'all here, but hopefully I will. Hopefully we'll be seeing you tomorrow, but might have another cool Manchester City fan on to help us predict just what's going to happen on Friday. But look, y'all, this has been a great episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, hang tight. Sending you to Flawless with Sarcasm City TV. Go over there, just say USA Raid, hit a like and subscribe, and then you can carry on with the rest of your evening, or you might just find you get what you need. But as always, folks, stay blessed, stay fresh, up the lads, and come on, you Spurs. Quiz.
United Spurs of America with your hosts, Michael and Jacob.